So here we go. What we're going to be doing today is putting it all together. So when I think about soloing, developing a solo, we've already talked about how the first thing you need to do when you're going to solo over something, again, it doesn't have to be fast, it doesn't have to be complex, it's whatever you want. And even when we talk about this stuff today, please remember that it all comes down to what you like, the way you like to play, the way you like it to sound. Of course, we all, as humans, have limitations. We have limitations in what we understand. We have limitations on our technical proficiency. Everybody does. Every player in the world can always get better. It doesn't matter who you are. You can always get better, okay? But if we think about it from that perspective, what we do have to do, though, is start off by understanding our parameters, okay? So that's the first thing, is the analysis of the situation. What key are we in? What tempo are we playing? What groove do we have? Right, in whatever situation we're given. And then on top of that, what do we have to offer the musical situation? The tempo, the groove, the key tells us, what do we see on our fretboard? Right? How many positions do we see, or what scales do we know, or what scales are we familiar with that will go with whatever the situation we find ourselves in? You need to think about those things, because if you don't, and you just play, the problem is that maybe sometimes everything just sounds the same, or maybe it doesn't turn out quite as nice or as good as you had wanted it to, because you hadn't taken a little bit of time to think about the situation that you find yourself in, okay? So analysis of the situation, I'm always going to tell you, that's just very important, okay? The second thing is giving your solo purpose or direction. And these are the things we're going to be talking about today. Trying to give your solo some element of musical direction. So it isn't just licks, although licks are very important. We need to be thinking about other things. For instance, phrasing. Okay? The way you phrase makes, I think, probably the most difference out of anything when you play. Not pentatonic versus mode, not slow versus fast, but really, for me, it's phrasing. Okay, when I think of players that I really love, like Steve Lukather or Neil Schoen or Andy Timmons, or, I mean, there's just a billion people that I could name. But some of those players, what I really love about them are their ability of being able to combine flashy playing with fundamental playing. And phrasing is absolutely one of the things that are important for that. The next thing I've got is dynamics. Thinking about dynamics, loudness and softness, and then not just that, but low and high, contrast. Think about contrast. If you played something fast, play it slow. Play something slow. If you played higher up on the fretboard, play lower on the fretboard. If you played fast, play slow, or don't play at all. Give a space. You know, different kinds of things like that are really important to make your solo sound more dynamic. If you're just playing everything at the same speed and the same volume and all that sort of thing, it tends to get kind of old for both you and for a listener. So you want to be thinking about that. Okay? The next thing is vocal elements. And we've talked about this many times if you've heard me do my normal gabbing. Vocal elements, hammer-ons, pull-offs, slides, bending, vibrato. These things are so absolutely important to not only the navigation of your fretboard, but the way things sound. You know, so you're not just playing, and not that there's anything wrong with that either. But if you did something like that, you might want to follow it up with you know, something else that contrasts what you just did, okay? So trying to think about that a little bit, okay? The next thing, very, very, very important, melodic connection. Melodic connection, which, again, there's a lot of different ways we can define this, and I have guitar courses that cover all this kind of stuff, but melodic connection is, in our case, in this jam that I'm going to be using here just to show you, it's the same jam I used on Wednesday. I'm going from E minor to G or to C. I think it goes to C first and then G and then A minor. So what I want to be thinking about are those chords a little bit. So when the E minor comes up, I can go, okay, I gotta get to something that connects to that E minor. And then here comes C, so maybe I'll go, and then here comes G, and then here comes A minor. You know what, I mean, there's a million things. Again, this is what makes us all different. And our passion for guitar playing and the way we want to play is how we approach these sorts of things. What I often remind people is all these things I'm telling you right now, and you can watch the video again. There'll be a playlist on YouTube, excuse me. I'm sure on the Guitar Zoom YouTube channel there'll be a playlist on this. But get a piece of paper and a pencil and write these things down. You know what I mean? So if that makes sense, just write those down. And you know, so you've got analysis, purpose is the heading, and underneath purpose I've got phrasing, dynamics, melodic connection, vocal elements, that sort of thing. And then we get to the next thing, which is what this is all about, is licks and patterns. So Rock Licks, the DVD course I'm talking about that's now available, isn't just licks, it's patterns as well. So for me, I have licks that I'm going to play. You know, whatever it might be that I'm going to play for a repetitive idea. But then I've got patterns, different things I might play. Right? And I just like anybody else, I practice these things over and over and over. Daywalker says it's Stine time. You're absolutely right. So as I'm playing, I have different ways that I tend to sort of maneuver around the fretboard. Okay?